Hi and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we have a Honda. We're going to be changing the inner and the outer tie rod ends because the inner tie rod has a lot of play in it, which I'm going to bring in now. I'm going to show you how you can check to see if it is your tie rod, inner or outer. I am going to change the inner is the one that's bad, but I am going to change the outer because the right front, the outer boot was ripped. This boot on the left outer is still okay, but we're not going to take a chance. We're going to go this far. We're going to go ahead and change the outer tie rod at the same time because, as you know, after you do any of this front end work, you do have to get the wheel alignment reset. So it's logical just to go ahead and change the other tie rod end. All right, so I'm going to bring you in now. I'm going to show you what to do. I'm going to give you an example of what kind of tools you're going to need. And we're going to get started. Now I'm going to tell you this, the inner tie rod end is a little bit of a pain to do. You do need a special tool to get inside to get that tie rod end off of the rack. So, but I will explain how that tool works and how to go about doing it. So let me show you what we need, and I'm going to show you how to diagnose the inner tie rod end if that being the problem. You know what? Let me show you the inner tie rod first before we do anything. Okay, this is the front end of the car, obviously, and that is the inner, this is the outer tie rod end, this is the inner tie rod end. And if you watch right here, when I rock the wheel, I just grab the tire itself and just rock it back and forth. You see that movement in there? That gives you that thumping noise as the customer's driving and they apply the brake, they get that thumping noise. So that's why we're changing it. All right. First thing you're going to do before you do anything, you're going to come in here. Okay, let me back up a little bit. Here's an example of what kind of tools you're going to need. Remember I told you about that special tool you need to get the inner tie rod end off the rack? This is the tool itself here. There's different size fittings here that you need for it. This is the one that is used in this case. A hammer just in case, a couple of wrenches, an assortment of sockets, and a couple other wrenches, a couple of pry bars, and of course I'm going to use an air gun on this particular one too because I'm not going to do it by hand, this particular job. All right, we do have new tie rod ends. We have the inner and the outer, which we'll explain how to do that once we get to that point. Okay, so this is what we're doing first. Underneath here, you'll see right here there's a cotter pin. We're going to take that cotter pin out. We're going to loosen that nut right there and take it off. We're going to use the air gun to do that. So we will spray with some penetrating oil. This in here, we are going to break this loose right here. This is very rusty. It's around 18 or 19 millimeter. It seems like a 3/4 fits it actually fairly decent. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use a 3/4. And then we have a tool that we're going to pop this tie rod end out with. You can get in here with a hammer, like you've seen me do many times, and you could bang right here to get it to pop out. But I'm going to show you a tool that I normally use to do this. All right, so all right, enough talking. Let's get started. All right, remember, first thing we said we're going to do is we're going to take this out right in here. So we're just going to bend these up a little bit so we can get in here, just like this. And then we'll hit that cotter pin and try to push it out. Now the other side was extremely rusty and it broke off, so I got a feeling it's going to be the same thing on this side here, but we'll see how it goes. We're going to spray it with a little bit of penetrating oil just to see if it helps at all. I don't think it's going to, but we're going to spray it. Same thing up here. All right, now we'll try to take our cotter pin out. Now once you straighten it out, you can just tap it and sometimes it'll move, sometimes it won't. And this one, it won't. So we're going to snap off this end here, and we're going to snap off this end here, like that. And now we're going to come in here with our air gun. And I know it's not often you see me use an air gun in my videos, but in this case, the other side was a pain in the rear end, so that's what we're going to do. All right, so now we're going to shoot this bolt, this nut off right here. Now, the reason I use the air gun is because if I get in here with a regular wrench and try to take it off when that cotter pin is broken in there, it's going to give me a little bit of a problem. The cotter pin is going to be a pain in the rear end to get out. So that's why I use the air gun in this case. All right, so we're going to throw this nut away because we don't need it. All right. Now, we're going to break this nut loose right here. Remember I said that one is a 3/4, seems to fit it pretty decent. Okay, fits nice and tight. And then we're going to put this on here and just break it loose just like that. All right, and then we're going to leave that sit. We're not going to go any further with this inside here. We're going to take this out right here. Now, you've seen me get in here many times and beat on this with the hammer to get it to come out. You can do it like that. But there's also a tool that you can use. Well, there's a lot of different tools, but this is the one that I use. It goes around here, around this. The jaws fit on there like that. You just screw this up by hand until it's pretty tight like that. And then we're going to hit this with the air gun. Let's see if you can see here. We're going to hit this with the air gun and we're going to pop that out of there. So, yeah, let's do that. And you just shoot this in, hold it together, and you see it pops right out. Okay? Pops right out. Now, obviously, you can beat on it with the hammer, but if you want to minimize the amount of damage you're going to do, that's the way to do it, using the tool like this. Now, this tool is made by OTC. They actually, you know what? Let me hang on a second. Let's show you the kit. All right, let's put this up here. Okay, this is the kit right here. And these are all, obviously, it's got to be shrunken down a little bit, but that's the kit. This one is to do outer tie rod ends. This is also for an outer tie rod end. This one would be for a pitman arm. This one would be for a ball joint. But you could buy the entire kit, and it works pretty good. That's the kit, just in case you wanted to know. That's the number of the kit. It works really good. All right, so back to what we're doing here now. Okay, so now that we have this disconnected here, you're going to count how many revolutions it takes to get this tie rod end off. And this way we're going to put it back on the same amount of revolutions. We still have to get the alignment done, but it'll be pretty close. All right, so here we go. All right, 18 revolutions. So that's how many it is to take it off. Write it down so you don't forget it someplace. And now we're going to take this nut here off. Remember what I told you about that nut? It is a 3/4, seems to work pretty decent. So we are going to hold the inner tie rod end, and then we're going to take that nut off, which maybe we're not going to take it off, but let's get in there with an air gun. Now, you don't see me use an air gun a lot, I know, but that particular case, it was pretty tight, and I didn't want to break my coconuts. So, all right, so now we're going to take off this inner tie rod, the bellows inside here. And the way you do that, on this one we have to reuse the old bellows because the cost is a factor with this customer. But we're going to get in here, we're going to take this clip right here, and we're going to take it off. And the way you do it, it's a snap ring, so you just hook underneath it. Easier said than done. And then we'll just take the snap ring and work it off. I'm going to put this off to the side for now. And now the inner, we're just going to push this a little bit just to get it to move a little bit, just like this. And then we have to take the inner clamp off the inside there to get it off the car. So we're going to just pop that clip off. The clip looks just like this. So I'm not going to film it, I'm just going to go underneath here. I'm going to go underneath here with a screwdriver, I'm going to hook it here, and I'm going to pop that clip off. So, alright, don't go in the place, we'll come right back. Okay. Alright, and just so you know, that clip, I did get it off by snapping the clip off. This is the one from the right side, and this is the one from the left side. I had to cut this off. Now, we're not going to reuse this one, obviously, because this was put on by the factory. We're going to use zip ties, which is how the new boot comes. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, next thing we'll do now is we have that popped off on the inside. We're going to take this bellows, and we're going to turn it and pull it off at the same time. And like I said, we are going to reuse this one, because the owner wanted to keep their cost down. Okay. All right, now we have to take that tie rod off right there. So what we're going to do, remember we talked about this special tool here? This tool, this clip, goes like this, and you lock it in place like that, and we go over the top. Now, on this one, we have to put this piece in there first because we can't get over the top. So we're going to take this. I'm going to try to do this so you can see. Put it over the top of the tie rod end, just like that. And then we're going to take this tool, and we'll put this tool over the top. Now you have to hold the piece on, and then you put it on, like that. Lock it down. And then we're going to pull it towards us. And the way you take it off now is you get in here with either an air gun or a breaker bar, whatever you choose. I'm going to try to do this so you can see. Either way, you can get in here with a breaker bar or you can get in here with an air gun. These I do with a breaker bar, just so you know. And then we just take it, loosen it up. And then once you have it loose, then we can take our tool back off, like this. Take it out. And now we can take off that tie rod end. See how it unscrews? Just like that. Okay. And this is the problem that we have. You see that movement inside there? As insignificant as that looks, that's the noise that is actually getting inside the car itself. So, all right, so this is the old one. We're going to get rid of it. You can see how loose it is too. Now, this is the inner tie rod. You want to be careful when you put this back on because there's a little tiny clip that comes with it. See this? That goes over the top like that. Now, I just want to point this out to you. You're going to put these little clips here, these little tabs, into the rack and pinion, right there into these tabs. It's going to go just like this. Like that. See? But I want to point something else out to you. That's going to go over the top. These little tabs are going to go inside there. But you see these little indented areas right here? That little indented area right there? There's 4 of them around the entire tie rod end. Once we have this installed, you're going to, obviously it's going to be in the car like this now. You're going to take this like this, and you're going to come in here with a long punch like this, and you're going to collapse that ring, that round circular piece, you're going to collapse it down into those little tiny grooves right there. Now, there's 4 of them on here. You don't have to have it knocked down all 4 of them. I always do it in 2 of them. All right? So, enough talking. Let's continue with this. I take this usually, and I put it in here, and I push it in like those little grooves where it belongs. Now, you see it stays there pretty much by itself, but you're going to hold it with your hand anyway. We're going to take that nut off. Don't lose it. We're going to take this piece, the inner tie rod, we're going to hold this in place where it belongs like that, and we're going to screw this in as far as we can until it bottoms out all the way. Now we're still holding that ring on the inside, and then we'll turn this down until it can't go any further. Now that's in as far as it can go. You see how tight this is? All right. Okay. Now we're going to take our tool again, put it over the top right here on there. And then we're going to put this piece here. I'm going to try to get in here so you can see what I'm doing. Over the top like this. Hold it in place. Slide it all the way in. And then you lock the tool in place. Over the top of it. Right? We'll take your breaker bar and we're going to tighten this inner tie rod up all the way. Nice and tight. Take our breaker bar off. Open up our tool. Pull the tool off and take this out. Okay, so now our tie rod end is tightened up, but now we have to get in here with this tool and we have to peen those two pieces over. So I'm going to do that, and well, maybe you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to be doing it from the bottom up, actually. Okay, it's a clean cut shot from right here. And we're just going to hit it just to peen it over just a little bit. Just like this. Alright, so we peen that over. We're going to do one more in the front. Like I said, I always try to do it on 2 spots at a time. Okay, so now we have that all peened over inside there. Okay, next thing we're going to do now is we're going to put that boot back on that we previously took off. We want to make sure that this piece right here lines up with the hose that's underneath there, so we're going to do that. I am just going to put a little anti-seize on here, just so it slides in a little easier. We're going to put this over the top, and we'll push it all the way down, and we'll catch the inside where it belongs. And I'm going to grab a zip tie. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put another zip tie on the outside here, just like this. We'll put it right back in its groove. Okay, and now our inner is back together. We put that nut back on. Remember the one that was 3/4? Well, this one is actually, I think this one was 7/8 actually. So we're going to screw this on as far as we can. And we're going to grab our new tie rod end. Okay, now remember this was 18 revolutions, so we're going to turn this on 18 revolution. I'm going to tell you something, make sure you put the correct one on, because there is a left and there is a right side, so make sure you put the correct one on each side. Alright, 18 revolutions, we're going to turn it on. Ready? Okay, we're going to take this nut here. We're going to put it through the knuckle right here. And now we're going to tighten this up. Now I am going to use air to tighten this up most of the way, and then I'm going to do the final adjustment by hand. All right, I think this is 16 millimeter, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I'm wrong. It's 18 millimeter. Okay, now we're going to adjust this and turn it until the cotter pin lines up. And then just bend this down across the bottom like that, and you're all set. All right. Next thing you do is just tighten this nut here down, and we're just going to snug this up temporarily until we get the alignment set. Right? That's it. We're all set. All right. So let me just recap what we did here. Okay. So we put our inner tie rod on. We tightened up the nut with that special tool that I showed you. We peened over in 2 places to lock it in place. We put our inner tripod boot back on. We made sure our little line inside here was reconnected, our vent. We put our zip ties on here and on the inside. We screwed our outer tie rod on 18 revolutions. We locked up this nut here. We tightened up the crown nut here, and we put our cotter pin through. That's it. You're all set. All right, that's it. So you're all done. Next thing you got to do is get your alignment set, because if you don't set your alignment, you're going to wind up destroying your tires. So that's it. All right, any questions or comments, you want to talk to me about anything, send me an email. If you want to, I'll put in the description down below that tool to pop the front end apart. Again, it's made by OTC, which you guys know is one of my favorite companies. So I'll put a description down the bottom of the toolkit number, and any questions you want to talk to me about anything, you send me an email. I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody about anything. As always, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.